Hello, class. My name is Patrick Roble. My belief is overcoming fear. Fear is good. If there is no fear, there is not as much excitement in the world. The world and society would be bland without people having fear. Fear builds courage, challenge, and determination. Fear also makes individuals rely on rational thinking. Fear pushes people not to fail. Some fears that people face include work, sports, school, family, friends, relationships, and many others. Everyone has different fears in their life. Overcoming fear makes you stronger. Some of the fears I have faced in my life were car accidents. I was in 3 car accidents about a few years ago that scarred me pretty bad and made it hard for me to drive afterwards for quite a few months. College and school has always been a fear. I'm always afraid to fail in one of my classes. I know this would disappoint my parents and mostly it would disappoint myself. Hockey has always been a fear for me. I was always afraid of getting cut from a team or not playing well or just performing poorly. In job and work related fear. For me, upon graduation, I'm kind of afraid about not getting a job and or getting rejected for jobs. A fear that I always had was being judged and accepted by people. I'm always trying to be myself, but I've always feared that being myself is not always accepted by certain people. Fear of emotional pain would reflect like relationships that I've had with girls and getting hurt. So that's kind of an emotional fear that I have about getting into relationships. Fear of the unknown, so what my actions could do and the results that could come out of them. Sometimes I'm not sure if an action will be right or wrong or if it's going to cause problems. And fear of being alone. I have a pretty small family here in America. It's just me, my dad, and my cousin, so that's always a fear. If something would ever happen, that I would be alone here. So overcoming fear takes a few different things. One of them would be definitely courage, courage to accept the fear and try and overcome it, strength, awareness, curiosity, positivity, having communication with peers and family, a positive perspective on the fear and life, and being determined. So I believe fear is unavoidable. Everyone goes through it. It is an emotion that affects all human beings. Like I said previously, without fear in the world would be pretty ordinary and a bland place. It's important to realize how important fear is when you want to overcome it. It needs to be a fear that's attainable. It can't be something super big that's out of your reach. One of the big things to overcome fear is pushing away excuses. A lot of people have excuses. A lot of people procrastinate on fears. Some of these excuses could be being tired or potentially failing, thinking you can't do something, not having enough time, thinking something is impossible. Fear makes people learn lessons. You might not overcome your fear the first time, but with work, it can happen the second or third time. It's just not giving up so quickly and realizing that it can take time. A little quote is, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So that's a pretty big quote in my life. I never want to give up. If I fail one time, I want to keep pushing and keep trying my hardest to accomplish that fear. It obviously takes determination to overcome fear. So being stubborn is pretty bad or pretty good in overcoming a fear. It's important to control your own life and not let fear control our lives for us. It's important to work to overcome fear instead of hiding from it. After you conquer a fear or overcome it, you become a stronger person and you know that you worked hard to overcome that fear and all the steps it took. It's important to evaluate a fear. Is it going to matter long term? Is it serious? Some people have a fear of public speaking. And for me, that used to be a fear, but I overcame it by realizing that I'm going to give a speech and so is everyone else in the class. And once it's over, no one is really going to remember that speech for a long time. So it helped me overcome that fear. Eliminating bad and negative thoughts is pretty big when trying to overcome a fear. You got to think positive. It's important to speak to your peers. So I usually talk to my parents or my close friends and I ask them what I can do to overcome a fear or obstacle in my life, and they always give me positive feedback. And you also got to remember that fear takes longer than others. It can take longer to overcome for others, so it's important to be patient. It's important to take action before imagining like what a fear can do to you. So it's important to just take action, have a plan, and just take on that fear. That's one of the strategies I do. Um, Imagine the outcome, and don't imagine what the outcome could be. Imagine a positive outcome instead of a negative one. So you don't want to bring fear into your outcome. You can use fear as an opportunity to identify problems. And it's always good to think and maybe make a plan or write down ideas to achieve that fear, overcome it. It can be certain steps, it can take time, but you just want to write it down and kind of see what you have to go up against. So for my conclusion, I believe that fear is unavoidable. There are so many stressful situations that people face each and every day. Um, it's important to not let fear knock you down. You want to get back up, and if you fail the first time, you shouldn't give up. You shouldn't be afraid. Um, Analyzing your fears is one of the first steps. If you ever have a fear, the first thing you should do is really look at it in a big perspective and see what can come out of this fear, or if it's that serious, or what can happen once you conquer that fear. So that's pretty big. And failure is normal. Everyone fails in their life. There's no one that's perfect. So just because you don't overcome your fear the first time doesn't mean you can't try again and again.